What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Yotna, and welcome to my first video in a very long time. God damn! Yeah, it's been a while. I got a new idea, a new series that I wanted to kick off. So today will be the first video or the first episode of that. And the idea is basically just like a gaming recap. So this is the first episode of my weekly gaming recap, where I'll go over, you know, at least what I consider to be some major news items related to gaming throughout the week. New episode will drop every single Sunday. I will cover all the things that I deem to be major pieces of news. So, you know, there might be something that slips under the radar, or either I didn't see, because let's be honest, man, there's a shitload of content and news and everything that comes out nowadays every single day. So sometimes things can slip under the radar, right? So there might be something that I missed, or just something that, you know, maybe I didn't realize or didn't think was that big of a deal, and there might not be in the video. Now, that being said, you know, feel free to put those stories and those ideas down in the comments, and I'd love to discuss them further in the comments, or possibly in like a follow-up video. Without further ado, let's get into the first topic for today's first episode of Gaming Recap. Also, you probably hear a big ass echo right now, not just because I don't have anything on the walls. I already got some acoustic panels, I just haven't hung them up yet. So sorry about that echo, but hopefully in the next episode that'll be, you know, dulled down a little bit and it'll sound a little bit better. All right, so the first topic that I want to start with right off the top, and I thought this was pretty important to do first, is, you know, we want to have a moment of silence for the person that created the Konami code. His name is Kazuhisa Hashimoto. So feel free to give the video a pause and have a moment of silence for him, because he passed away this week at the age of 61. Now, Kazuhisa Hashimoto is actually the video game developer that created the Konami code. So, you know, the up, up, down, down, left, right, B, A, start, that was him. And he created it way back in the 80s for a game that he wasn't very good at. So he put that code in to help him more easily beat the game. And that's kind of where it started. And then it grew in popularity from there, being, you know, seen in mini games and then in pop culture throughout everything today. So unfortunately, he did pass away this week. So rest in peace to you, Kazuhisa Hashimoto. So again, go ahead and give the video a pause and a moment of silence for him. All right, so the next topic I want to jump into is the big boy. This is the big fucking topic, right? This is the piece of news that dropped and everyone was like, oh shit, like I was not expecting this at all, right? So this is the topic that came from Phil Spencer. So Phil Spencer actually put out a blog on the Xbox news website detailing some of the specs and features for the Xbox Series X, which is launching later this year. So what I wanted to do was kind of walk through some of those items that he had on that news blog. So let me get that pulled up here. We'll kind of walk through and spend a little time on some of these and maybe some less time. But the first big one, man, and you can go check this out for yourself over at news.xbox.com. I'm sure people have heard it. If you're watching this, you've probably already seen it. But just in case you didn't see the official blog release, it's over there at news.xbox.com. So the big piece of news right off the top, right, was the 12 teraflops of GPU power. Now, I'm not like a super expert when it comes to all of the technical bits and how, you know, computers and stuff work. I kind of have a very general surface level idea, but I do know that, you know, 12 teraflops is quite a fucking bit, man. And if you ever, I'm not sure if you guys checked out Digital Foundry's videos. Digital Foundry actually put out a video walking through these features as well, kind of diving into that more technical side of it, where, you know, they're experts over there. And one thing they noted with the 12 teraflops GPU power, which is coming from AMD, is that's not even something that exists on the PC side yet, that has the 12 teraflops GPU power running the RDNA2 architecture and all that good stuff. That's actually not something that is currently existing consumer side on the PC. So this is, I thought this was pretty interesting, because this is, you know, they always say like, hey, this generation is the biggest like next gen leap for any generation ever, right? So this was like, oh shit, like this is next gen. The term next gen is actually represented here, because this is something that's not even available on the PC side yet. And that also was like, lets us know, hey, we're actually getting like high-end text and features and specs in these new consoles that are going to just elevate the game experience to the next level. You know what I'm saying? And so that was cool. I think that was the big piece. We got that official confirmation that, hey, like, this is fucking double the Xbox One X GPU power. And of course, for the CPU side, it's got the latest Zen 2, RDNA 2 architectures, and I think on the Digital Foundry video, they kind of related that to the 3700X on the PC side is in terms of compute power. So that was good to know. It lets us know, hey, we're getting a good ass processor, and we're also getting a good GPU. So awesome, right off the top. And then it got into some more technical bits that I won't really touch too much on because I'm not super familiar with them, with the variable rate shading, which is some sort of like technical technique where they can kind of, I guess, things that aren't as important in the scene won't be rendered as fully, but still look pretty good, and it kind of helps save power. That you can put more towards better frame rates and high resolutions. So that's a pretty cool feature. Then of course, the feature that we already knew about, the hardware accelerated DirectX ray tracing. Awesome. I don't know if you guys have ever seen videos demonstrating ray tracing, but damn, like if you've never watched it, go like YouTube, like go YouTube a game or something like that that has ray tracing. I think Control was one. Actually, Digital Foundry has a whole video with like showing different examples of ray tracing throughout PC. When you see the difference, man, it's crazy. Like, lighting makes such a huge difference in video games in terms of the realism and the immersiveness and the presentation. So like, it's pretty hype to know that we're getting like hardware accelerated, like dedicated hardware just for ray tracing with these new systems. So that's really dope. And again, that's just something that we already knew, but got reconfirmed in the blog here. All right, and then moving down throughout the rest of this blog, of course, we knew that we were getting SSD storage. Now, they did not kind of specify how fast it is. You know, there was a leak not too long ago saying that the PS5's SSD was going to be faster than the Xbox Series X, and they didn't notate the speed of the SSD, but either way, it's going to be fast. It's an SSD. You know, it'll improve the load times and all that good stuff. And one thing they did note was like, hey, fast travel is just that fast. So the SSD and storage, the SSD storage will be pretty awesome. Of course, there's that big worry, right? That's like, with SSDs being a little bit more expensive, how big are these drives going to be? Are we getting 500 gigabytes? Are we getting a terabyte? I mean, especially with games being bigger nowadays. Like, I play all my games on the Xbox One X, and fucking Call of Duty Modern Warfare, like, that game was like 150 gigs. So I mean, if we're only getting 500 gigs for SSD, like, that's insane, right? Like that's not gonna be enough. That's like 5 Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So it's like, it's not gonna be enough. Like, we need way more than that. So hopefully, you know, it'll be at least a terabyte, and I'm sure they'll have expandable storage, right? Like that's a given. They will definitely have that. One cool thing they talked about was the quick resume, and I'm going to add on to this story because they dropped some additional information on the Major Nelson podcast, I believe. They dropped some additional information about quick resume, but the idea that you can resume multiple games like with the quick resume feature. So you can have multiple games kind of running in the background, and you can just jump right back into, and that is pretty cool because there's been instances where I'm on with my boys, right? Maybe we're waiting for one more person to get on. So we're like, hey, let's play this game, and we'll wait for them to get on, and then we jump back into this game. So in scenarios like that, like, you can have both games running in the background, and as soon as somebody's ready to go, you can just jump right back. Or like, let's say you're in the middle of one game. Like, I'm gonna give you an example just from the other night, man. We had 4 people on, and we play a lot of Apex Legends as of late. But we had 4 people on. We were playing Rainbow Six Siege, and somebody stepped away. And if we had this quick resume feature, then we'd be able to just jump into Apex Legends, which is already like running in the background, and quickly jump back in and jump to a game, play that, then jump right back over to Siege once, you know, our boy comes back. So I mean, the quick resume, that's got a lot of potential. They just need not to fuck it up and get it done right, because the quick resume right now doesn't always work that good. So hopefully that's something that they can really get optimized and work really well. Just moving down the list, they talked about, you know, dynamic latency input, which will help improve how fast the button press from the screen, so the actual button press representation inside of the hardware and in your TV, it will be faster. I don't know exactly how that works, but that's the idea. HDMI 2.1, which is going to allow, you know, all the good shit like variable refresh rate, auto low latency mode, where your TV will detect, hey, this is an Xbox Series X. I think TVs already do this with One X. I know mine does. We're going to put it in, you know, the auto low latency mode. And this is a big one, 120 FPS support. So that is pretty major. I know Phil Spencer said he's trying to push more for frame rates with this generation. So we got the confirmation, of course, that hey, we're supporting 120 frames, and it's up, I'm sure it's up to developers to take advantage of that, right? And hopefully they have a lot more, especially with the console being so much more powerful. Hopefully they have more features, like almost like PC, where you can kind of say, hey, I would, you know, prefer 120 or I prefer 60 with these type of boosts. Kind of like we see right now on the Xbox One X with the enhancements and the performance options, but go a little bit deeper and really let us customize and kind of let us be flexible with our frame rates and things like that, especially having FreeSync and things like that, where we can, you know, just rock like 90 frames or something like that, and still get, you know, good smooth experience, but maybe boost a little bit more in the resolution and texture and all that good stuff, make it look pretty. Going further down the blog, they talked about, you know, the 4 generations of gaming, that you can literally play all, not all, but you know, you will have access to a good library of games across the entire Xbox family, from the original Xbox to 360 to Xbox One, and then now to the Series X. Dope. Going further down, smart delivery. So they talked about how, at least with first-party games like Halo Infinite, that if you buy that Xbox One version, that you will automatically own the Xbox Series X version, and it will automatically download any necessary files, like a new texture pack, cinematic packs, whatever the case may be. It would go ahead and update your game to the Xbox Series X version when you drop that game on Xbox Series X. So that's a really dope feature, and that's a very prosumer feature, right? Like the idea, hey, I just gotta buy this one time and that's it, I don't gotta buy it anymore. And one thing that they did note was that third-party publishers can take advantage of this too. And as a matter of fact, CD Projekt Red, right, has already said, hey, if you buy Cyberpunk 2077 on the Xbox One, you will get the Xbox Series X version free of charge, and it will update the game once you load the game onto an Xbox Series X. That is dope. Like, I really like how Microsoft is pushing this idea of, you know, all these prosumer features, right? Phil Spencer is very big on that. I think he understands that, you know, PlayStation has a lot more of the exclusives, so they got to come in with the services and the brand, right, to kind of like combat that while they're building their exclusive library. So hey, we might not have this right now, but we're going to have all these features that really, you know, are all about you and your choices. And diving into the next topic, the Xbox Game Pass, right? Like, that's an amazing service. I have that, and it gives you access to a huge library of games that you might not otherwise would have bought. So all these good prosumer features and ideas will still be there with Xbox Series X. Right on, Phil. I love it. Okay, so that's pretty much what they talked about in that blog for the Xbox Series X. So it was a great deal of really good information about Series X. Kind of got you even more hyped to see, you know, the full unveil of this thing, where we just get everything. They give us that fucking dump of all the information around, you know, probably E3 time or even before E3. They just dump everything out on us. I can't wait for that moment we get the full unveil, because these little teases and these little tidbits, man, this gets you more hype. Like, I can't wait to get my Series X. I can't wait to get my shit. This this blog post was very unexpected. Like, I did not see this coming at all, and I wonder if they dropped it because they know something about the PS5. Like, are they trying to get ahead of the PS5 and revealing the information? You know, because I feel like they've been playing this game of like, who's gonna go first? We can try to one up the other person, right? And Sony especially has been doing that, because we really don't know a lot of shit about the PS5 like that. Besides, like, you know, little leaks here and there, and little, you know, confirmations about things we already know about the backwards compatibility and things like that. So I think it's interesting that they drop this information now in this blog post, and didn't even drop it in like a big, you know, conference or anything like that. Makes me wonder what they have planned for the big reveal, like the big stage type reveal, whether it be at their own event or at an E3 event. So we just gotta wait and see. All right, so the next story I wanted to jump into from this week was the new Samurai Jack game. So they got a new Samurai Jack game coming out this summer, and it's coming from, I can't really say the developer's name, Soleil. That might be wrong, I don't know. But it's coming from those guys, and they made games like Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker, No More Heroes, and a game called Devil's Third. I'm not familiar with it, but I just thought it was dope to get a new Samurai Jack game. I don't recall when the last one came out. I think it's been a like pretty long fucking time. But you know, it's an exciting time, especially in a time where the tech is really good, where you can really create these very artistic games where you see things like, you know, Ori and Will of the Wisps, et cetera, right? So I think it's exciting to be able to, and Cuphead, right? That's hand-drawn animation. But it's super exciting for a game or for a show like Samurai Jack. It's very artistic in its style and its vibe, right? And now in a time where you can utilize the tech, this new Samurai Jack game has potential. Now they dropped a trailer for the new Samurai Jack game. It had some gameplay in it. The gameplay doesn't look bad. It looks very, you know, beat 'em up, hack and slash style. I don't know how in depth they'll get with combos and things like that. But the artistic style representation of Samurai Jack is definitely there. It's not, in my opinion, it's not perfect, but it doesn't look bad, right? It looks like it has potential. And I'd be curious to see kind of what the set pieces and things like that look like as you're going through the game. But I just kind of want to note on that there's a new Samurai Jack game coming out, and hopefully, you know, this is one of the studio's better titles. I never played No More Heroes game. I definitely played the Shinobi Striker game, and it wasn't bad, but I just know that the gameplay didn't feel very in depth, right? Like it's just, and I'm sure someone is gonna like get on my ass and be like, man, it's just because you don't know how to play or some shit. But I mean, that's just how I felt, right? I felt like it was just, you know, a typical beat 'em up. So hopefully Samurai Jack will go a little bit of a different route, have some combos in it, good plot for whatever the game will be, and so on. The next topic I want to jump into is Baldur's Gate 3. So Baldur's Gate 3 got its reveal this week. That included a cinematic trailer as well as gameplay and a lot of just information about the game and how it plays. So Baldur's Gate 3 is actually being developed by the people that made the Divinity Original Sin game. So I never played the first Divinity game, but I have played the second one. I played through co-op with my boys, and we never finished it. But I had an okay time with it. I'm not super into that style of strategy game, but there's definitely fun moments in there with the co-op and, you know, doing crazy shit with your boys, like lighting all the blood on fire. I mean, turning it into poison and lighting all the oil on fire, just doing crazy shit like that, and shit gets crazy, right? Shit gets crazy. But so those guys are making this Baldur's Gate 3 game. Can't even talk. And so they dropped the gameplay. It looked really good. It kind of has that same style of the Divinity games of turn-based. I know some people might not be exactly happy about that because I know it's different from the previous games, but you know, that's just what it is, right? So it's going back. It's going to have that Divinity turn-based style. And I just want to kind of note some features here that I thought were really cool, especially having played the Divinity games. One big one that I really liked was the fact that when you go to have a conversation with an NPC, it would actually zoom in on their face like a cinematic and allow you to talk to them that way while still choosing the text choice options. I thought that was dope. I think that's a really cool feature. They have some really cool things as well, like shoving and jumping, where you can shove, you know, people off a cliff with the shove mechanic. I thought that was real cool. Of course, like the cinematic was, you know, fucking weird with the worm going in the eye and shit like that. But you know, it's typical for these like fantasy type games like this, especially Baldur's Gate. So that's the kind of the premise, right? It's like you're playing with this tadpole plant from the worm inside your head, and if you don't get it healed within 7 days, you'll turn into a mind flayer. But you know, we'll see how it plays out. So it's kind of the premise of the beginning of the story. Now, I'm not super familiar with Baldur's Gate. Like I maybe played the second one, maybe, but because I have a vague memory of it, but I'm not like a fan of it. I don't really know a whole lot about it besides my vague memory of maybe playing it in the past. But you know, it's set 100 years after the first two games. One big thing with this game is there's secrets everywhere, especially with the jump commands. You'll be able to really explore and find hidden things throughout the world. You know, be able to expand on the lore, etc. And one big thing with this game is it's very heavily, more so than even Divinity, I think, is very heavily D&D influenced. I don't know a whole lot about D&D. I've only played some of the, I guess, like spin-off versions of it. Never played like an official D&D type game, but you know, like you'll roll for initiative in this game, and dice will be a big part of the game. We actually even use it to roll to help, you know, kind of guard and things like that. So a lot of interesting features here, especially I think for people who are huge fans of D&D. I think they probably were super excited when they saw this the feature list for Baldur's Gate 3. But I just kind of want to touch on Baldur's Gate 3. I know that was a huge news, especially for fans of the series. I saw the gameplay, the cinematic, and it looked really interesting. I think that even I'm not a huge fan of that style of game, that I would definitely probably at least, you know, try it and check it out. All right, the next topic we're jumping into is one that's coming from Platinum Games. So apparently, Platinum Games is finally publishing its own original game. So, and I didn't even really realize this, but you know, this whole time they've been kind of contracted out and working with other publishers like, you know, Sega and Square Enix to develop these games, and technically those publishers own the rights to all those titles. So this is the first time they're actually creating and self-publishing their own original game that they will own and be able to have full control over, you know, how it's created, how it's marketed, the whole nine, man. So this is actually pretty dope. Platinum Games definitely has, you know, some very unique and creative games in their catalog over the years. So to know that they're about to like fucking go full force nutty into their own original game is kind of interesting, kind of exciting. So right now it's a game that doesn't I believe it doesn't have like an official title, because right now it's just titled Project GG, and they dropped a teaser trailer for it, and it kind of looked like Ultraman. You know, like the old show Ultraman, because it showed like this dude who put on like a suit and he got really big to go fight this kaiju monster, and that's kind of the vibe that you get from it. So I'm assuming that's kind of what it's going for. No gameplay, you know, it's just a cinematic trailer, and they kind of tease you, I guess, at the idea of the game, but no idea how it'll actually play, if it'll just be single player. But I think the idea of fucking battling kaijus is dope, because for one, I love Pacific Rim, the first one. Two, I also love Godzilla, and I know some people aren't a fan of the most recent new ones that came out from, you know, the Western side with Godzilla and Godzilla King of the Monsters, but I liked them because it was kaiju action. Kaiju's getting fucked up because my boy Godzilla was not fucking around. He brought the heat. Literally. So, I mean, I'm excited for a kaiju battling game, man. I think this has a lot of potential. And if they, you know, bring their usual Platinum Games A game, then it should be dope, man. But check out the teaser trailer if you haven't checked that out. Check that out, because, you know, artistically, at least in the cinematic, like, it looks pretty cool. Again, you don't really see a whole lot. You can't even really see the suit and the person, like, turns into or whatever. You can't even really see that. It's like pretty shadowy. Even the kaiju is kind of shadowy, but either way, it's dope. All right, and the last topic I wanted to go over for today's gaming recap is a topic about the Games Developers Conference. So the Games Developers Conference has officially been postponed from March to the summer. This is crazy. And pretty much what happened is a lot of the big companies that started with Sony and Facebook started to pull out of the Game Developers Conference, you know, over fear of the coronavirus. And as more and more companies started to pull out, like Microsoft, Epic Games, and so on, eventually they're just like, well, you know, we just need to postpone because shit, there ain't gonna be nobody there, right? So that's official, man. So GDC has been postponed to later this summer. I have no idea how that's going to work out. It's kind of interesting, right? It makes me wonder, like, what was going to be revealed at this that would have led into some other things this year with the dynamic shifting. I'm sure, you know, plans have to change what they present and things like that. But that's pretty major, man. And I think that really shows, you know, how much or how scary and how much of a big deal the coronavirus is. You know, it's only going to get, you know, worse from here, essentially. And, you know, a lot of events are being canceled. So that was one. And then I saw that, I got the story pulled up here, and I just saw this today, that even the EVE Online annual festival is being canceled due to the coronavirus as well. So yeah, I mean, it's scary right now for a lot of people, especially people who might be closer to it than others. But it is a virus, and, you know, viruses spread. So I think it's smart for all of these companies and organizations to cancel these events that will bring people in large numbers into tight spaces where things will just have the opportunity to fucking just multiply and spread like crazy. So I think it's actually a really good idea and really smart for them to cancel these events like this and these festivals, events, conferences, whatever it may be, just to, for humanity's safety, right? Just for human beings to try to be as safe as possible and not give the virus a platform to spread like fucking crazy, right? So I thought that was pretty major, man, to hear some of these gaming festivals and conferences start to be either canceled or postponed. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that and see kind of where that goes from there, because then you start to wonder, will it affect people's production, like whether it be games being developed or the actual like the next gen console hardware being manufactured. Like what sort of things is this virus going to affect, and is it gonna like massively shift, not even just the gaming industry but other industries as well, right? Like massively shift productions and delay like releases for pretty much anything. I guess it's gonna be fucking crazy, man. We really gotta keep an eye on this to see where it goes from there. But everyone stay safe. Even if you think you're not that close to the virus, doesn't fucking matter. Stay safe, the best that you can. Like I tell people, man, always use hand sanitizer, wash your hands, that sort of thing. Especially if you're in a job that you can come into contact with a lot of people, man. Keep a hand sanitizer in your back pocket, things like that. Stay safe out there, seriously. With all these things being canceled, if you didn't think the coronavirus was a big deal before, and if you're seeing all this shit getting canceled and stuff, it should tell you that this shit is definitely a big fucking deal. So stay safe. Alright, but that'll do it for this week's gaming recap. I appreciate you guys coming and joining me for this game recap. Again, this will be a weekly thing. Every Sunday, a new recap going over what happened the previous week. We'll cover, all topics related to the gaming industry. Again, thank you so much for spending time with me. And, go in the comments below. And if I missed a story that you want to discuss, drop it in the comments. I love to discuss it in the comments and maybe even make a follow-up video if you, or if, in general, the community wants to see my opinion and reaction in video format. But again, thank you so much for joining me on today's game recap. And I'll see you guys next week for the next game recap. Peace.